It's 2 p.m. You've planned to finish this task hours ago and go to bed early today. But instead, you're still arguing with AI. Now it seems to completely miss the point of what you actually needed. And the worst part is that it sounds so confident while producing complete garbage. We've all been there. But why does this keep happening no matter how nicely you ask? Today I'm breaking down the 7 mistakes that make AI produce garbage and the exact fix for every single one. So stay to the end, because the final mistake is the one that makes you correct the same AI problem again and again and again. By the end of this video, you'll stop being a frustrated prompt typist and will become an AI manager. Because there's no magic sentence that unlocks perfect answers. The problem is that you are treating AI like a mind-reading senior partner who already knows your business. But in reality, it's an over-eager junior assistant with severe amnesia, terrified of looking stupid. The first mistake is one almost everyone makes. AI gives you something wrong and you ask, "Are you sure?" Or worse, "Can you check your work?" And I need you to stop doing that. Because asking the same AI in the same chat with the same blind spots to magically discover its own mistake is not a verification problem but a comfort blanket. Think about the last time AI gave you a plan or a summary. I bet it looked finished and had structure and even nice formatting. But that is exactly what makes it dangerous. AI often stops when the answer looks complete, not when the answer is actually correct. This is why looks done and is done are completely different things. There's even a research paper with a very direct title, "Large Language Models Cannot Self-Correct Reasoning Yet." And the point is simple. When models try to correct themselves without external feedback, they often struggle and sometimes the corrected answer gets worse. So telling AI to check its work, you must just be asking the same system to repeat the same mistake in a slightly more confident tone. And this reminds me of the handyman who repaired my ensuite ceiling after it peeled off in a month. When I asked him if he used the right type of paint and other materials, of course he says yes, because this is his own standard. So to fix this, never let the same AI grade itself and create a verification loop. After an AI chatbot gives you the answer, double-check with the second chart or use a different model for a different perspective. And use this prompt. And don't judge AI by vibes. Build a checklist. For example, the moment you turn your gut feeling into a checklist, your AI output gets better. Because now you're not hoping the answer is good. You're inspecting it like a manager. And this leads to the second mistake. Because sometimes AI gives you garbage not because it failed to check itself, but because you never gave it enough to work with in the first place. Mistake number 2. You expect AI to read your mind. You've been thinking about your project for days, weeks, and maybe months. You know the client and the tone, as well as what happened previously and the hidden constraints. Also, you have an idea of what good looks like. Meanwhile, AI knows none of that. Unless you give it that context, the model was basically born the second you open the chat window. And then we get angry when it behaves like it has no memory, no taste, and no common sense. While from its perspective, you gave it a tiny slice of the problem and expected it to reconstruct your entire brain. This reality clicked for me when I started double-checking AI citations. Sometimes it would give me a link which, at first glance and as a preview in the chat window, looked solid. The paper existed, but it didn't say what AI claimed it said. That was the moment I realized that confidence is not evidence, and this is not just my personal frustration. OpenAI has explained that one reason hallucinations persist is that many training and evaluation systems reward guessing over admitting uncertainty. If the model says, "I don't know," it will get no credit. But if it guesses, it has at least some chance of being right. Oh, and the citation problem is very real. In one recent study in JMIR Mental Health, GPT generated 176 citations for mental health literature reviews, where 35 of them were completely fabricated. If you're already wondering how to stop it from guessing, you need to outsource your brain before you ask for the final answer. Start important prompts with something like this, and for bigger tasks, give it a mini brief. And for example, instead of "write me a proposal," say this. This change alone can save you from half the garbage outputs you were complaining about. And because remembering these prompts every single time is annoying, I put the full set into a free anti-garbage prompt pack for this video. The link is in the description. So once AI has the context, you might think you're safe, but there's another problem. Sometimes AI fails not because it lacks information, but because it agrees with you too much. Mistake number 3 is treating AI like an honest thinking partner when it's often behaving like a people pleaser. You say, "I think you're wrong," and it replies, "You're absolutely right." You suggest a weak idea and it says, "That's a great direction." Then you push back on a logical solution and suddenly it starts rewriting itself to match your confidence. This surely tickles your ego, but AI is not being truly objective. A 2025 benchmark called Seek-Eval tested sycophancy across ChatGPT, Claude, Sonnet, and Gemini Pro. They found sycophantic behavior in 58% of tested challenge cases. And even worse, in almost 15% of cases, the model moved toward an incorrect answer, basically giving up a better answer because the user pushed back. And that is one of the most painful AI user experiences, because the output looks supportive while quietly making your thinking worse. This is why I don't like using AI as a cheerleader. And I don't need it to tell me every idea is brilliant, because I know it is. I need it to find the weak and controversial spot to help me brainstorm the better solution. To fix this behavior, make AI criticize, push back, and provide the perspective instead of unconditionally praising everything you say. This is such a small change, but it completely changes the approach. And this is the difference between using AI for validation versus for judgment. And once you stop letting AI flatter you, the next mistake is how AI tools are used for research. As even when AI is not hallucinating and not agreeing with you, it can still give you a perfectly true answer that is completely useless. Mistake number 4 is asking AI to go fetch information without telling it what kind of information matters. When you treat AI chatbots as Google search, you type "research the best productivity tools," or "what should I do in Paris?" or "find good AI tools for content creation," like you used to do in Google search. And 3 seconds later, you get a list that looks like it was copied from a 2018 blog post, which is technically not wrong, but completely unhelpful. And the problem here is that broad research prompts create broad average answers. Where your task is too open, AI tends to return the safest, most common, and most repeated information. Because you didn't give it a research strategy. So it gives you the internet average. To solve this issue, you need to build a fence. A strong research prompt has 5 parts: role, scope, recency, exclusions, and output format. For example, instead of "what should I do in Paris?" prompt this way, AI knows what to optimize for. Same with business research. Instead of the rubbish Google search "research productivity tools," prompt this. Now you're not sending AI into the internet wilderness shouting, "Bring me something useful," but you are giving it a map. Although, after you fix the research substance, there's still one huge problem. Even when AI has the right information, it often sounds like the same fake professional robot wrote everything. You know, the voice, a weird amount of bullet points, and my personal favorite, when it adds emojis like it's trying to prove it has a personality. Why AI writing sounds so fake? This happens because you let AI use its default voice. You asked it to be professional, engaging, make it sound better, but these vibes are too abstract. Professional according to whom, engaging for which audience, and better in what style. Language models are very good at learning from examples in the prompt. That is the basic idea behind few-shot prompting. Instead of only giving instructions, you should give examples of the patterns you want. A Cornell study found that when Indian and American participants used an AI writing assistant, their writing became more similar, with Indian writing pulled more toward Western-style patterns. And this is exactly the problem I feel. AI doesn't just help you write, it can slowly sand off the parts that make your writing sound like you. For example, when you buy a new laptop, you probably set it to your preferred layout at once, turning on touchpad scroll direction, choosing dark mode in apps and browsers, and toggling the screen sleep mode to never. At the same time, you did nothing to tune your AI tool settings and just let it default to its factory setting personality. You can fix this by never asking AI to write from scratch with no baseline. Paste in something you wrote and are proud of, and make it analyze and learn your style. Then paste your writing sample, and after it creates the voice profile, use this prompt. So far, we've fixed verification, context, flattery, research, and voice, but all that won't last because of the part that quietly wrecks every long conversation you have with AI, no matter how well you prompted it. Mistake number 6. You keep everything in one giant chat. Do you have one massive chat thread named Work that you've been talking to for 3 months straight? That thread is getting dumber every day you add to it. At first it was useful, but slowly it started getting weird, forgetting instructions and mixing old tasks with new tasks. It probably followed a rule you gave 2 weeks ago that no longer applies. But the thing is, a long context window doesn't mean AI uses every part of the conversation equally well. The loss in the middle research found that models often perform better when relevant information is at the beginning or the end of the context, and worse when the important information is buried in the middle. And Chroma's context-rot research showed that performance can degrade as input length increases. So yes, your information may technically still be in the chat, but that doesn't mean that AI tool is really using it. The fix here is simple but annoying. One task per one chat. Don't use one endless thread for everything. Use fresh chats for fresh tasks. And when a thread gets long, ask AI to write a bulleted summary of progress so far, copy it and paste it into a brand new chat. For bigger projects, save that brief as a project file or reference document, because this is what an AI manager does, maintaining a clean workspace. But there's one more mistake that guarantees you'll be having this exact same conversation again tomorrow. You've corrected the same formatting error, tone problem, and the missing step, sometimes more than once, and now it looks like AI is stubborn and stupid. But the issue is that nothing you taught it yesterday carried over to today. And here's the worst mistake of all 7. Fixing the symptom, never the cause. AI makes a mistake, apologizes, gives you the right answer, and tomorrow, in a new chat, it makes the exact same mistake again. This will last until you find out the hidden feature every major AI tool like ChatGPT, Claude, and Gemini has: custom instructions, memory, or projects. They're built specifically to persist what you'd otherwise repeat every session, and almost nobody uses it on purpose. While it's a 100% must-do, this is your rule to save instead of treating every conversation as a one-time fix. So every time AI makes a real mistake, open your custom instructions and write it down. That instruction loads at the start of every conversation, so you stop paying for the same mistake twice. So for leveraging AI tools at their maximum, remember to stop letting AI degrade its own homework, expecting it to read your mind, judging it on a checklist, not a vibe. Remember to fence in your research, feed it your voice, and start fresh before context rot sets in, and save energy correction so you never repeat it. And honestly, this is the difference between people who say AI is useless and people who quietly get value from it every day. If you rely on AI to magically know what you want, you will always get garbage. But follow the advice I've shared today and you'll stop being the frustrated prompt typist and become an AI manager. So download the anti-garbage prompt pack with every fix and copy-paste ready prompts. Link is in the description. And if this helped, hit like because it helps more people find this video. Subscribe and tell me in the comments which of these mistakes is ruining your AI output right now. I'll see you in the next one.